Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in life when you realize something that hurts but also sets you free. Nobody truly cares about you the way you imagine. People may clap for you when you succeed. They may comment on your failures. But at the end of the day, everyone is too busy fighting their own battles. They may give advice, they may talk about you, but they don't stay awake at night worrying about your dreams or your pain. Nobody cares about your dreams until you make them real. That is the truth that so many people fail to understand in the beginning of their journey. We grow up believing that the world will cheer for us, that the people around us will notice every small effort we put in. But reality looks very different. Most people are busy fighting their own battles. They are consumed by their own worries, their own ambitions, their own survival. They don't have time to care about what you dream of becoming, and they don't sit around hoping you will succeed. In fact, some might even doubt you or laugh at you when you share your dreams. And that is where the disappointment comes in. You expect others to be excited for you, but what you receive is silence or disbelief. That silence can either break you or push you to go further. If you think about it, the world only claps when something is visible, when there is proof, when there are results. People admire the finished product, but rarely care about the long nights, the sacrifices, and the failures that came before it. They don't see you working quietly in your room. They don't notice the days when you cry alone. And they don't value the endless effort you invest. All they care about is the outcome. And once they see the outcome, suddenly everyone claims they knew you could do it. That is how people are. This is not to make you bitter, but to free you from unnecessary expectations. If you know from the start that nobody is going to care about your dream until you bring it to life, you stop wasting energy on seeking approval. You stop telling your plans to people who cannot understand them. You stop begging for encouragement. Instead, you start putting that energy into action. There will be days when your dream feels too heavy to carry alone. On those days, you will look around hoping for someone to lift you, but you might only find empty space. And that is when you must remind yourself that it is your responsibility to carry your own dream. It is your vision, not theirs. If they don't see it now, that does not mean it has no value. It simply means it is hidden inside you, waiting to be shaped, waiting to be proven. Remember, even the greatest ideas were once invisible. Even the most celebrated people were once ignored. They kept working until their results became impossible to deny. This is why patience and consistency matter more than applause. When nobody notices, you still keep going. When nobody believes, you still choose to believe. When nobody supports, you still show up for yourself. And slowly, quietly, the dream you once carried alone starts to become real. And when it becomes real, the same people who doubted you will now try to be close to you. They will say they always cared, they always believed, but deep down, you will know the truth. They only cared once your dream became something they could see and benefit from. So, the lesson is simple. Stop waiting for others to care. Stop wasting your strength on convincing them. Nobody cares about your dreams until you make them real. And that is perfectly fine. Because the one person who must care the most, the one person who must believe the most, is you. People are too busy with their own struggles to carry yours. This is something that many of us find difficult to accept. We want others to listen, to understand, to carry a part of our burden. But the truth is that every single person is fighting battles we cannot see. Someone may be smiling in front of you, but inside they might be carrying pain that keeps them awake at night. Someone may look successful on the outside, but deep down they might be scared of losing everything. People are dealing with their own chaos, and because of that, they don't always have the capacity to carry yours. It is not that people are heartless or cruel. It is simply that life demands so much from each of us. When you expect others to constantly be there for you, You set yourself up for disappointment. They may listen once, they may offer a kind word, but they cannot live your struggles for you. They cannot walk in your shoes. They cannot feel your sleepless nights, and they cannot cry your tears. Sometimes even the people closest to you will seem distant, not because they don't love you, but because they are drowning in their own responsibilities. When you truly understand this, you stop being angry at the world for not being available all the time. You realize that everyone is carrying weight on their shoulders just like you. This realization can hurt in the beginning. It makes you feel lonely. It makes you feel invisible. But slowly it teaches you the most powerful lesson of life, that strength must come from within. When people are too occupied to carry your pain, you learn how to carry it yourself. When they are too busy to push you, you learn to push yourself. When they are too tired to stand beside you, you learn how to walk alone. This is how resilience is built. It is not built in comfort. It is built in those silent moments when you understand that no one can fight your battles for you. Think of the times when you were struggling the most. You might have expected someone to rescue you, to lift you, but in the end it was you who had to face it. And even if people showed up, they could only comfort you. They could not erase the struggle. They could only give advice. They could not live your reality. At the end of the day, every person has their own mountain to climb. And when you stop resenting this, when you start respecting that truth, you set yourself free from false hopes. This freedom is powerful because it gives you control over your own journey. You no longer sit and wait for someone to carry you through your storms. You take responsibility. You look at your scars and accept them. You stop comparing your life with others, because now you see that everyone has their own weight to carry, even if they hide it well. And with this understanding, you also grow soft. You stop demanding constant attention, and you start appreciating even the smallest act of kindness. You start valuing the people who show up, even if they can't carry your burden, because you now know it takes great strength to help another while dealing with your own pain. When you accept that people are too busy with their own struggles to carry yours, you stop expecting miracles from them. Instead, you create miracles for yourself. You realize that the only person who can carry you fully through every storm is you. And once you know that, you no longer see yourself as weak or abandoned. You see yourself as capable, strong, and unstoppable. Loneliness is not a curse, it is a chance to build strength. So many people fear being alone. They see loneliness as emptiness, as rejection, as a sign that something is wrong with them. They believe that being surrounded by people means they are valuable, and being left alone means they are forgotten. But the truth is that loneliness can be one of the most powerful teachers in life. It strips away the noise, the distractions, the opinions, and it leaves you with yourself. At first it feels uncomfortable because you are not used to facing yourself without interruption. But over time you realize that this silence, this space, is where growth happens. Loneliness teaches you resilience. When there is no one around to comfort you, you learn to comfort yourself. When there is no hand to hold, you discover the strength of standing on your own feet. When there are no voices to guide you, you begin to listen to your own inner voice. This is where true confidence is born. It is not born in the presence of a crowd. It is born in the quiet moments when you learn that you can survive without one. Being alone also allows you to see yourself clearly. When you are constantly surrounded by people, you often wear masks. You adjust your words, your actions, your choices to fit into what others expect. But when you are alone, there is no one to impress. There is no audience to perform for. You are simply yourself. And in that rawness, you begin to discover who you truly are, what you value, what you believe in, and what you want to create. That discovery is priceless, and it only comes when you are willing to sit with your own company. Loneliness is also a space of preparation. Think about seeds buried deep in the soil. They are alone in the dark, unseen by anyone. But in that hidden space, they are preparing to break through, to rise, to bloom. In the same way, your lonely seasons are not wasted. They are seasons where you are building unseen strength, developing character, shaping your resilience. The world may not see your progress, but one day the strength you built in silence will speak loudly when you step into the light. It is easy to look at loneliness as punishment, but if you shift your perspective, you begin to see it as a gift. It gives you the chance to recharge, to heal, to grow without pressure. It allows you to let go of toxic connections and stand free. It teaches you that your worth is not tied to how many people are around you, but to how deeply you value yourself. And once you learn to value your own company, you will never again fear being alone. Many people jump from crowd to crowd, relationship to relationship, friendship to friendship, because they are terrified of being with themselves. But those who embrace solitude discover a rare kind of strength. They are not desperate for attention. They are not controlled by the fear of rejection. They are not easily broken when people leave, because they already know how to stand in their own space. Loneliness gave them that gift. So instead of running from loneliness, lean into it. Use it as a season to build strength, to reconnect with yourself, to prepare for what is ahead. Because once you learn how powerful it is to stand alone, you will never again see loneliness as a curse. You will see it as the foundation of your strength. Pain becomes heavier when you expect others to carry it for you. We all go through seasons where the weight of life feels unbearable. Disappointments, failures, heartbreaks, and losses leave us with wounds that are not easy to heal. In those moments, the natural instinct is to look around for someone who can understand, who can carry a part of that pain, who can make the load lighter. And sometimes, for a short while, people do step in. They listen, they offer advice, they sit with us. But what we often forget is that they cannot carry our pain the way we can. They can stand beside us, but they cannot walk inside our skin. They cannot feel the same intensity. They cannot process it in the same way. They cannot heal us from the inside. The disappointment begins when we expect them to do what only we can do. We expect friends, family, or partners to constantly be there to soothe our wounds, to rescue us every time we fall, to lift us every time we break. And when they don't, we feel abandoned, we feel angry, we feel invisible. But the truth is not that they don't care. The truth is that they simply cannot carry a pain that was designed for us to carry. Pain is deeply personal. It is connected to our unique experiences, our unique perspectives, our unique journey. Nobody else has lived our exact life, so nobody else can carry the exact weight we feel. When you start expecting others to carry your pain, the burden doubles. It becomes heavier because now, not only are you dealing with the pain itself, but you are also dealing with the disappointment that others are not helping the way you want them to. You feel let down, and that makes the weight harder to bear. But when you stop expecting and accept that this pain is yours to hold, something shifts. You start to focus not on who isn't helping, but on how you can grow through it. You stop waiting to be saved and start saving yourself. That shift doesn't erase the pain, but it makes it lighter, because you are no longer carrying it with resentment. Pain has a strange way of shaping us. It teaches resilience, it deepens empathy, it builds character, but only when we choose to carry it ourselves. If we keep waiting for someone else to take it away, we miss the chance to discover the strength that pain was meant to awaken in us. People may walk beside you, they may encourage you, they may hold your hand for a little while, But at the end of the day, the healing must come from you. You are the one who has to sit with the hurt, who has to learn from it, who has to rise again after it. This doesn't mean you must go through life without support. It only means you should release the unrealistic expectation that someone else can fully carry your pain. Appreciate those who are there, value the comfort they give, but never hand over the responsibility of your healing to anyone else. Because pain becomes unbearable when you expect others to solve it. But when you accept it as your own teacher, your own weight to lift, it slowly becomes the very thing that makes you stronger, wiser, and more unshakable than before. Stop waiting for validation. Clap for yourself. Too often, we waste our lives seeking the approval of others. We wait for someone to tell us we are good enough, talented enough, worthy enough. We post something and keep checking who liked it. We achieve something and look around to see who noticed. And when the applause doesn't come, we shrink, we doubt ourselves, we even stop trying. This hunger for validation becomes a chain that ties us down, and without even realizing, we start living not for ourselves but for the recognition of others. But think about it, why do you need someone else to tell you that you matter? Why do you need an audience to clap before you can celebrate your progress? The truth is, if you keep waiting for others to validate your journey, you may wait forever. People are unpredictable. Some will notice, some won't. Some will clap, others will criticize. Some will even stay silent, just because they don't want to see you rise. If your self-worth depends on their reaction, you will always remain fragile. But if you learn to clap for yourself, you become unstoppable. Clapping for yourself means appreciating your effort, even when no one sees it. It means saying well done to yourself for showing up, even if you failed. It means honoring your journey, even when it looks small to the world. You know how many nights you stayed awake working, how many times you fought the urge to give up, how many silent battles you overcame. The world may never know that, but you do. And if you don't celebrate it, who will? Validation is addictive. And once you start relying on it, it controls you. If people cheer, you feel alive. If they ignore, you feel invisible. But the moment you take that power back and decide that your worth does not come from likes, claps, or comments, you set yourself free. You no longer wait for someone else to tell you what you already know. You start living for your own growth, not for their approval. There will be times when nobody claps for you, not because you're not worthy, but because they don't understand your journey. Sometimes they are too busy with their own lives. Sometimes they are blinded by jealousy, and sometimes they simply don't see the value yet. That doesn't mean your work has no value. It only means you must be the first one to recognize it. You must be the one to keep your fire alive, even when the room is silent. When you stop waiting for validation, you stop begging for permission to shine. You begin to move boldly. You take risks without fear of judgment, and you celebrate yourself without guilt. You no longer feel small in the absence of applause. You realize that the loudest clap is the one you give yourself in silence, the one nobody else hears but you feel deeply. That clap is not about ego, it is about acknowledging your worth without depending on anyone else. So every time you achieve something, no matter how small, pause for a moment and clap for yourself. Every time you take a step forward, even if no one notices, recognize it. Every time you rise after falling, celebrate, because if you can learn to clap for yourself, the silence of others will never break you. It will only remind you that your journey belongs to you, and your worth has never depended on their approval. Stop asking why no one cares. Start asking why you don't care enough about yourself. It is easy to point fingers at the world and say people are selfish, people are careless, people don't value you. It is easy to sit in frustration and repeat to yourself that nobody notices your effort, nobody sees your struggle, nobody celebrates your existence. But the real question is not about them. The real question is about you. Why is it that you are waiting for their care instead of giving it to yourself? Why is it that you are desperate for their attention when you could be giving yourself the love, the respect, and the recognition you deserve? The problem with constantly asking why nobody cares is that it keeps you in the role of a victim. You remain trapped in disappointment because your happiness is tied to the actions of others. But when you shift the question and ask why you don't care enough about yourself, you take back the power. You begin to see that your self-worth cannot be borrowed from others. It must be built from within. It forces you to reflect on how much you have neglected your own needs, how much you have ignored your own dreams, how much you have allowed yourself to be treated in ways that hurt you. Caring for yourself is not selfish, it is survival. When you put yourself last in the hope that others will put you first, you end up empty and broken. You wait for someone to come and heal you, but healing is an inside job. You wait for someone to validate you, but validation loses its meaning if you cannot believe in yourself. You wait for someone to care, but the truth is that their care will never fill the void if you don't learn how to care for your own soul. When you start asking why you don't care enough about yourself, you begin to change the way you live. You start setting boundaries where you once allowed people to walk all over you. You start listening to your own needs instead of silencing them. You start protecting your time, your energy, your peace, because you realize they are valuable. You stop looking in the mirror and criticizing yourself, and instead begin to speak with kindness to the person you see. You stop chasing after those who don't appreciate you, and instead focus on building a life that makes you proud. The moment you care enough about yourself, you stop begging others to care. Their silence no longer feels like abandonment, because you are no longer abandoning yourself. Their rejection no longer destroys you, because you no longer reject yourself. Their absence no longer empties you, because you are already full within. And ironically, when you start caring for yourself, you attract people who treat you better, because the way you treat yourself sets the standard for how others treat you. The world may or may not care, but that is not in your control. What is in your control is how deeply you care for yourself, how much you value your worth, how much you protect your peace. Stop asking why no one cares, because the answer is not out there. The answer has always been inside you. The day you care enough about yourself, you will no longer cry for what others fail to give. You will stand tall, knowing that you are complete, even if nobody else notices. Their opinions fade, but your choices stay with you forever. When you look back at life, you realize that so much of your hesitation, your fear, your silence came from worrying about what people might think. You held yourself back because of their opinions. You changed your decisions because of their words, and you dimmed your light because of their judgment. At the time it felt heavy. At the time it felt like their opinion was the most important thing in the world. But when days turn into years, those opinions lose their weight. The same people who once criticized you move on to other topics. They shift their focus. They forget what they once said about you. But you are left living with the choices you made while listening to them. That is why it is dangerous to let temporary voices control permanent outcomes. Every opinion is like the wind. It comes, it makes noise, and then it disappears. People may talk about you today. They may gossip about your failures. They may mock your dreams. But tomorrow they will find someone else to talk about. Their attention is short, their judgment is shallow, and their memory is weak. What remains strong are the consequences of your decision. If you choose to give up on a dream because they laughed at you, that decision will stay with you. If you choose to stay silent because they didn't approve, that silence will echo inside you for years. If you choose to live for their approval, you may wake up one day realizing you never lived for yourself. When you understand that opinions fade, you start to see how much power you give away when you let them guide your choices. You start to question why you would abandon something meaningful to you, just to please people who might not even remember tomorrow. You begin to see the truth that people's opinions say more about them than they say about you. Their words are often rooted in their own insecurities, their own fears, their own limitations. When they tell you it cannot be done, they are not describing your capacity, they are describing their own lack of vision. Choices, on the other hand, are permanent. The life you live today is shaped by the decisions you made yesterday. The future you will step into is being shaped by the choices you are making right now. And once a choice is made, its consequences cannot be erased. This is why your choices must come from your values, your dreams, your beliefs, not from the ever-changing voices around you. You are the one who will wake up every day and live with the results. You are the one who will face the mirror and answer to yourself. Nobody else carries that responsibility, only you. It is not easy to ignore opinions. As human beings, we crave belonging. We crave acceptance. We want others to like us. But there comes a point when you realize that living for their approval will never give you peace. Because no matter what you do, someone will always have something to say. If you succeed, they will envy. If you fail, they will laugh. If you stay quiet, they will question. If you speak up, they will criticize. There is no way to win the game of pleasing everyone. The only way to win is to step out of it completely and choose yourself instead. The more you trust your own choices, the less their opinions will matter. And over time, you will see how quickly those voices disappear, while your decisions keep shaping the life you are building. Their words are temporary, but your choices are eternal. When nobody believes in you, it's your chance to believe in yourself. Many times in life, you will share your vision, your goals, your dreams, and instead of encouragement, you will hear laughter, doubt, or silence. People will say you are not capable. They will remind you of your past failures. They will point out every reason why it cannot be done. In those moments, you will feel discouraged. You will feel as if the whole world is against you. But the truth is, when nobody stands with you, you are given a rare opportunity. The opportunity to finally stand with yourself. It is easy to believe when everyone else is cheering. It is easy to stay motivated when people are constantly telling you how talented you are. But when you are surrounded by disbelief, when you are left alone with nothing but your own heart, that is when your real strength is tested. Believing in yourself is not about arrogance, it is about survival. It is about telling yourself that no matter how many people doubt me, I will not doubt me. It is about reminding yourself that your dreams were given to you for a reason, and you don't need the world's permission to bring them to life. Think of all the stories of people who achieved greatness. In the beginning, very few believed in them. Some were even told that they would never succeed, that their ideas were impossible, that their voices didn't matter. If they had listened to those voices, they would have stopped. But instead, they chose to believe in themselves. They chose to move forward, even when every hand was pointing in the other direction. They chose to trust that one day, the world would see what they already saw inside themselves. When nobody believes in you, it hurts. It makes you feel invisible. It makes you question your own ability. But if you sit with that feeling long enough, you will realize something powerful. Their disbelief does not have to define you. It is simply a reflection of their own limitations, not yours. Maybe they cannot imagine doing what you dream of doing. Maybe they cannot see beyond their own fear. That is not your burden to carry. Your responsibility is to protect your belief like a flame, to keep it alive even when the wind of doubt tries to blow it out. There will be nights when you want to give up, because the loneliness feels too heavy. On those nights, remind yourself that you only need one believer, and that believer can be you. If you believe in yourself, you have enough fuel to keep going. If you believe in yourself, You can endure rejection. You can endure failure. You can endure the silence of those who should have supported you, but didn't. Every step you take in self-belief makes you stronger. Every small victory becomes proof that you never needed a crowd. You only needed courage. Eventually, the same people who doubted you may come back and say they always knew you could do it. They may pretend to have believed all along, but you will know the truth. You carried yourself when nobody else would. You trusted yourself when nobody else did. And that faith in yourself became the foundation of your success. So when nobody believes in you, don't see it as a curse. See it as your chance to finally step into your own strength. To believe in yourself so fiercely that no amount of doubt can ever break you again. When you realize that nobody truly cares about you the way you thought, something changes inside you. At first, it feels painful. You feel betrayed, abandoned, or even invisible. But slowly, you begin to see that this realization is not a curse. It's a form of freedom. You stop expecting the world to constantly validate your existence. You stop waiting for people to cheer you on. You stop holding your breath for approval. You begin to breathe on your own. You start noticing that you are capable of clapping for yourself, of cheering for your own smallest wins. The day you stop expecting others to care, you start to own your life. You begin to notice how strong you have always been, but you were too busy looking outward for love and attention to realize it. It's not that people are cruel or heartless. It's that everyone is living in their own world, fighting their own battles. And once you accept that, you stop taking it personally. The moment you accept that nobody cares about your pain the way you do, you understand that healing is your responsibility. People may offer sympathy, but they can't carry your scars. They may stand by you for a while, but they can't feel the sting in your heart at night. That is yours to carry, and that is yours to heal. And when you begin the process of healing for yourself, without expecting someone to come and fix you, you step into real power. You learn to pick yourself up when you fall. You learn to wipe your own tears. You learn to become the safe space you always longed for. It's not loneliness, it's strength. It's not abandonment, it's self-ownership. When nobody cares about your dreams, you learn to nurture them quietly. Not everyone will see what you see. Not everyone will believe what you believe. But does it really matter? The dream was placed in your heart, not theirs. You are the guardian of that dream, not them. So when others laugh, when others ignore, when others fail to understand, keep walking, because dreams don't need applause. They need discipline. And discipline comes when you no longer rely on others to fuel your fire. You learn to build a fire within yourself. You learn to wake up for yourself. You learn to keep going even when the room is silent. When nobody cares about your efforts, you start to put effort into things because they matter to you, not because you want recognition. The applause, the likes, the claps, they don't last. But the satisfaction of doing something for yourself, for your growth, for your peace, that stays. When you stop seeking attention, you start creating results. And the truth is, results speak louder than any praise you could receive. People may not care about the hours you spend in silence, working, learning, building. But one day, the results of your consistency will speak, and the same people who didn't notice will wonder how you did it. When nobody cares, you realize you are free to define who you are, free to fail without shame, free to succeed without fear, free to try without needing permission. Because if nobody cares, then there is no one to stop you. There is no one to judge you. There is no one to tell you what you can or cannot be. The chains of expectation fall away, and that is where you truly begin to live. That is where you discover yourself. That is where you find strength, in solitude, peace in silence, and courage in independence. Because in the end, you don't need the world to care about you. You only need to care enough about yourself to keep going.